Welcome to the Just Tiff podcast, where I tell you guys some real life stories about some real life topics. Today is episode 78, you guys. Ooh, man. I don't know how the good Lord has managed to give us 78 episodes, but amen. So, today, I'm going to tell you guys about the conversation that I had with my grandmother, my grandma Maddie. Now, if many of you know me, I'm going to say something and you guys are going to be like, what? I don't like talking on the phone sometimes. And that's interesting to say, coming from a person with a podcast, coming from a person who loves to talk. But I think I don't know a way to say it, but I guess like as I've gotten older, there are certain things, like as far as calling people, checking on people, so I'm not good at it, If I talk to you and you say, hey, I've got this coming up or I've got this going on, let me check on you. That does not mean, that people don't cross my mind. It's just, sometimes I might be like, man, I really pray they're doing good. I don't pick up the phone all the time, okay? For everybody, sorry. I wish I charged my head, my heart, whichever one, but, God's still working on me with that because I should do better. But let me also say with that, I don't speak with my grandmother as I should. I am I'm number 3 of the 5 grandkids, and I don't communicate as well with her as I should. She is my last living grandparent. I had 4, 3 of which are gone, and she is the only one still with us. God bless her. And I know I should do better, you guys, but I don't. So let me just say, it was a honor and pleasure to have a conversation with her today. I can say I felt that the conversation I had with her today came from Jesus himself. I didn't feel like I normally feel with my grandmother. I normally feel like she gonna preach. And oh man, she been preaching since I've been here on this earth. And I mean, y'all, you name it, she gonna preach it. You be like, Grandma, my favorite color blue. And she probably, did God tell you that your favorite color is blue? And I would be like, no, I just like it. Well, if you didn't ask God, then that's your favorite color. That's how I used to feel as a kid. And I really would be like, oh man, can you just have a regular conversation without bringing up Jesus? But now, as I'm getting older, I literally listened to her today. And y'all, when I say she talked to me maybe an hour, and I literally never moved from the couch. I just sat there and was listening to her. She told me the story of how her and my granddad met and how her and my granddad have been together for 56, 58 years. And she was saying how they dated for years. And she mentioned a couple of times of a certain restaurant that she loved their chicken plate. And so he started picking her up from work, and he started bringing her chicken plates when he would pick her up, and they had been together for years on years. My granddad went to war while he was in the military, and then when he came home, they got married. I had my dad, and I had my uncle. And, she talked about how, throughout the years, excuse me, you guys. I don't know what I got going on. I'm going to blame my children. It's the whole thing. But she talks about how throughout the years they went through many of storms. She said, some I don't want to remember. She was like, but, she talked about how they went through things, and then how my granddad didn't want to go to church. He didn't want to join the choir, but him and the pastor that was the pastor of their church had a conversation one Saturday during choir rehearsal, and she said about 2 or 3 weeks later, he joined the choir. He joined the male choir and the gospel choir. She said she just kept praying for him. She said no matter how many times he didn't do the stuff she wanted him to do, she never stopped praying for him. And she said she also knew she trusted God to change him. And y'all, when I say I felt like she was speaking to my spirit, and it was just tidbits of things that I took from the conversation I had with her. First, let me say the joy in her face of how she still spoke of my late grandfather, of how he made her happy, even of how during the rough times she still chose to be with him. She said to me that we all are going to have to go through our own storm. Everybody's storms are different from each other's, but if it's God's will, he's going to see us through these storms. She talked about wearing makeup, and if any of you guys know, I'm not a makeup person, far from it. I see a lot of people wear it. I think it's beautiful. I would love to try it, but it's just not my forte. I remember having makeup one time put on me, and I felt like I looked like a whole nother person, because I just didn't really like it. And she was saying how she was gonna put some makeup on for Thanksgiving, and she decided not to. It's just like I turned around and saw myself in the mirror, and I said, "Ooh, let me get this stuff off my face." And she looked at me and she said, but it was like God had reminded her that he didn't need her help in trying to change what he had created. And y'all, when she said that, I was like, girl, you preaching to me. She talked about how my granddad had a stroke in 2013, and wasn't able to really speak or do for himself after that until he passed last year. I think it was last year. No, when Papa passed? 2020? That Papa passed in 2020. But she just spoke about how she never thought she could be a caregiver. She spoke about how they would talk, or, just how she would talk to him, how they would watch preachers on TV, they would read the Bible, she would read him the Bible, and it's just, y'all, the wisdom from her. And in the moment of her speaking to me, as she was saying different things, I'm just like, oh man, I want to get on Facebook and post this, or I want to get on Facebook and say this, about this really nice quote that she's saying. And in that moment, I just froze, and I just continued to listen to her. This week has been Thanksgiving, and one of my dear bestest is having to go throughout this holiday without her dad. It's her first Thanksgiving without him, seeing that he passed a couple months ago. And thinking about her, I then changed my perspective of talking to my grandmother. And I cherish the hour that I got to spend with her today. Watching her light up, watching her laugh and play with my kids, watching her confuse the mess out of my daughter because she kept calling herself grandmother, and I was like, hey, you're great grandma to them. And then she was telling my daughter, she was like, yeah, because Papa dead, and both of Destiny's papas are still living. And Des was like, what? And I was like, no, great papa, never mind, we'll fix this later. So just sitting there watching her and listening to her, I mean, y'all, I felt God's presence, and I felt just happy because I don't know when this will ever happen again, seeing that I don't communicate as I should, and seeing that I you know, I blame myself. I don't communicate as I should, but also just seeing that she's getting older and just having that moment of, you know, hey, I want to take you down memory lane for me. And it felt good. It felt good to just sit there and listen to her and just take it all in, because tomorrow's not promised, y'all. And that's for all of us. It ain't even got to be for my 80-year-old grandmother. It could be for all of us. But y'all, I say this to say, just like she told me, we are going to go through some storms. But if it's God's will, He going to see us through to the other side. So whatever it is that any of us are facing, y'all, just know that you are not alone. I don't care how many of us front on Facebook and put on this wonderful demeanor that everything's going wonderful in our lives, and here's this wonderful picture of me, perfect posture, flat stomach, looking beautiful, and then the inside I feel like a fat whale and I'm gonna go home and eat my feelings apart. Just know you are not alone. You know, bypass the stuff on social media. This stuff is not real. Bypass it. And just know that God created you in His image. And He created all of us differently in His image. And just know, y'all, that if God is in it, there is no limit. Hey, y'all better don't get me to singing. But thank y'all. And if you are fortunate to have parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever it is, y'all, I was able to spend Thanksgiving with my family, my husband's family. It was just so wonderful to see people enjoying time with people. So if you guys get the chance, because the weekend's not over yet, so get the chance, spend the time. If you don't, even just call, send a text message, anything. Enjoy your time with your family while they're here. Bye.